This is the area of the brain where the problem is. If an elderly man is losing his filter, acting both more childlike and more cruel at the same time, that means the frontal lobe of his brain is slowly dying. I'll show you some recent examples of a dying brain. Here's writer Heather Delaney Reese to introduce the details.
At 3:56 p.m. East Coast time, Donald Trump sat behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office, surrounded by his favorite yes men on either side and the press directly in front of him. He told the world that someone else was the President of the United States and shared a completely fabricated conversation he claimed to have had with a past president. It was one so absurd that by evening, representatives from all 4 living presidents had issued strong statements rejecting his lie. He claimed it twice that day, first at the Kennedy Center luncheon, then again in the Oval Office.
Here's more details on Trump's lie from NBC.
I've spoken to a certain president, who I like, actually, a past president, former president. He said, I wish I did it. I wish I did, but they didn't do it. I'm doing it, yeah.
Which president?
I can't tell you that.
But here's the issue. We checked with the offices of all of the living presidents, and here's what they told us. An aide for George W. Bush says that they haven't been in touch. An aide to Bill Clinton says that whoever Trump was referring to was not Clinton. An Obama aide says there have been no recent conversations between Barack Obama and Trump. And a source familiar with the matter said the former president Trump was referring to was not Joe Biden.
It's somebody that happens to like me, and I like that person who's a smart person. But that person said, I wish I did it. Okay, but I don't want to get into who.
Okay.
I don't want to get him into trouble. Maybe, hey,
I have a guess.
you know what? Yeah, I think you probably know. You know, it's interesting. And maybe he'd be proud. And I could even ask him that, would you like me to reveal your name?
And the White House, for its part, hasn't offered any additional details.
He seems to be both lying and confused. The lying comes from his malignant narcissism. He doesn't even know the difference between a lie and the truth anymore. He's been lying for so long, he seems to no longer even have the capacity to recognize it. He'll say whatever is required in the next 10 seconds to survive the moment. He's remorseless and ruthless. This lie was one that was easily disproved by the 4 living presidents, and I doubt the wholesome Jimmy Carter, who recently passed, ever even talked to this sick freak. And then there's this issue of the confusion. Here's the clip that Heather was speaking of Trump stumbling through an attempt to attack Gavin Newsom, calling him the president. Listen to the incoherence.
I know it's highly controversial to say such a horrible thing. The President of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia, everything about him is dumb. But then he looked at the audience and said, what, I'm smarter than you, or something like that. That was pretty stupid. So now on top of everything else, I call him a racist because it happened to be a black audience. I will tell you this. I think it was the worst interview I've ever seen of any human being in my life, okay?
Worst interview? Every accusation is an admission, Donald. He's all over the place in this. It's a clinical grade incoherence. As we've all seen over the past few weeks especially, something is changing in Trump. His filter is not working at all, and he's reverting to toddler-like behavior. Now he's literally playing with toys. Here's Adam James to explain.
The president was playing with toys in his office during a press conference because he has behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia. I'm a physical therapist with a doctorate in my field and 14 years experience working in home health care, treating geriatric patients with dementia, like this guy.
That bomber, Andrews. Let me just hug that little sucker. Give me that bomber over there. Thank you. You knew immediately which one. This looks small, but in person it's very big.
When you say Cuba is next,
Cuba.
is Cuba, whatever you do with the military there, it seems like something. Will that look more like Iran or Venezuela?
Can't tell you that. You don't mind if I keep this here, do you? Isn't that a beautiful thing? You know, I used to look at it, and I said, it's a piece of art, but how can it be effective? It's so stealth. Think of it, Peter. 1 a.m, it flies in, And they say, sir, they're in Iranian airspace. And I say, oh, and I'm watching it from the Situation Room with a couple of other very smart people.
The disinhibition that he displays now because of the atrophy of the frontal lobe inside of his skull is where this childish behavior comes from. He's basically playing with a model plane in front of everyone. And then he says, oh, you knew exactly which one it was. As if he does this a lot in the White House. And of course he has to mention, in real life, it's a lot bigger. No shit, sir. It's giving Derek Zoolander. The reporter mentions the nation of Cuba, and Trump immediately appears to vocal stem because he likes saying the word Cuba. This is more of the flight of ideas stream of consciousness he's got going on because his brain is melting. Cuba. And when they ask him, what are you going to do with Cuba? He says, I can't tell you that. He can't tell him because he doesn't fucking know. He has no practical connection to the physical universe that the rest of us occupy. I give it 2 months before he aspirates on a Big Mac and leaves the land of the living, or they are forced to impeach him or invoke the 25th Amendment or Article 2, Section 4. Just fucking do something, okay? Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Love that guy. He's hilarious. Trump's behavior is very clearly childlike and unserious. Adam mentioned Trump having behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia. The three types of frontotemporal dementia are, number one, language variant FTD, affecting mostly language, of course. Number two is movement-related FTD, affecting motor skills. And number three is the one that Adam mentioned, behavioral variant FTD, which, as you might imagine, results primarily in behavioral changes. It's characterized by disinhibition, inappropriate and impulsive behavior, loss of empathy, and executive dysfunction, which is significant difficulty with planning and organization and multitasking. The same day Trump lied about talking to one of the four presidents, I'll remind you, he also said this.
It was, I think it was a terminal diagnosis.
He would be dead by June.
Okay, that wasn't public, but yeah, okay, that's, it was grim. That's what I was going to say. I don't think
with a heart problem, by the way. This was a heart problem.
Listen to the groans in the crowd, revealing personal health information, simplistic language. That's the disinhibition. He's saying the quiet parts out loud. Here's another example from just a few days ago when he was in the Oval Office with the Japanese Prime Minister. Play that clip.
Allies in Europe and Asia, like Japan, about the war before attacking Iran. So we are very confused about we Japanese citizens.
Well, one thing you don't want to signal too much. You know, when we go in, we went in very hard, and we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Hey, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay, right? You know, he's asking me. Now you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us, and we had to surprise him, and we did. And because of that surprise, we knocked out, the first 2 days, we probably knocked out 50% of what and much more than we anticipated doing. So if I go and tell everybody about it, there's no longer a surprise, right?
Just unbelievable. Why don't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Donald, you weren't born yet. Pearl Harbor was in 1941, and you were born in 1946. No tact, no sense of appropriateness, and also just like low intelligence. Here's another example from just 2 days ago. This one is really sick. It's a post on Truth Social. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. Absolutely classless and a profound deficit of empathy. He goes on to say, he can no longer hurt innocent people. Those innocent people, by the way, are presumably the 34 individuals indicted in the 2016 Russian election interference scheme, including 26 Russian nationals and 8 guilty pleas or convictions, including Paul Manafort, Michael Flynn, Rick Gates, Michael Cohen, and Roger Stone. All innocent people, apparently. His lack of empathy is from his sociopathic narcissism. Mix that with Trump's worsening disinhibition, and you get a dangerous combination that puts the entire world at grave risk, given that he has the U.S. military under his control. But what exactly is this frontotemporal dementia we keep hearing about? I'll explain that in a moment, but first, please excuse this brief message from my new Medicare partner chapter. Medicare isn't one thing. It's Part A, B, C, D, Medigap, supplemental plans, advantage plans, drug tiers, networks, deductibles. Most people pick a plan based on a TV commercial or what a friend picks. That results in millions of seniors ending up on the wrong plan. Chapter analyzes all options available to you across all carriers, so you can choose the plan that's best for you. I've been getting feedback from you guys, and you guys are loving the unbiased guidance that Chapter offers. If you'd like to be sure you're on the right plan, call the number above. It's completely free service, no obligation. Seniors who work with Chapter save an average of $1,100 per year. So I invite you to call 504-613-5925 and speak with a trusted Medicare advisor today. Okay, back to frontotemporal dementia. What is it? Specific proteins in the brain, which normally help brain cells stay healthy and organized, start to change shape and malfunction. These proteins, called tau and TDP43, misfold and stick together and form toxic clumps. Over time, these clumps interfere with the cell's internal machinery, the normal functioning of the cell, eventually causing the brain cells to die off. As more and more cells are lost, these specific regions of the brain physically shrink. That's the process known as atrophy. The areas of the brain affected are the frontal and temporal lobes. These parts of the brain are responsible for things like social behavior, decision-making, and rational thinking. And all of this that we're seeing with Trump, like all types of dementia, this is the best he is ever going to be. His dementia, his disinhibition, loss of filter, impulsivity, his cruelty, it's all only going to get worse from here. So what hope do we have? We know how corrupt, cruel, and deeply troubled Donald Trump is. In these dark times, I need a hopeful message. Heather, what can we do?
Tonight, we keep the faith alive that better days are coming. And we celebrate that the courts are still holding, and that it terrifies him. Because that terror he is feeling is why he spent his Sunday evening, while we are at a war, raging on Truth Social about the Supreme Court tariff decisions, attacking Judge Boasberg, and threatening to have judges removed. He wants them gone because they are the last wall between him and unchecked power, and they are still saying no. That matters because when Democrats take back Congress at the midterms, and I need you to hold on to that hope the way I hold on to it every single day, Trump and his enablers are going to fight it. They're going to say the elections were rigged. They're going to say that they don't count because there's a national emergency. They're going to do everything possible beforehand to make sure we don't actually have free and fair elections. And these courts are going to have to pick a side, not a political party. The Constitution, the continuation of our democratic republic. And right now, all signals are that at least enough of them are still holding and plan to continue. One of the clearest paths to taking this country back after the midterms is simply making sure people understand and see what is really happening. Most people who aren't his extreme loyalists would look at what is happening today and not be okay with any of it. We just have to make sure they see it.
It's a worthwhile mission, and we'll keep doing our part. Thanks to Heather and thanks to Adam for their insights. And thanks to all of you for watching. Please subscribe so you can stay up to date on our ongoing monitoring of Trump's clinical decline. Also, please support not just us, but all of your favorite creators as we work together to keep exposing the dark nature of this administration. We have 3 more years of Trump if the country and the world can survive that long. A very special thank you to our new and existing members. If you have the budget, please consider becoming a valued member today. If you're on Blue Sky, come say hi to me there. I'll see you very soon. Take care.